All right, so this is the DB podcast. Whatever's within the dark shines within the light. Everything. When you gaze into the abyss, yeah. When you gaze into the abyss gazes back into you. This episode is referring to the Titans, the gods, the goddesses, primordials. Mortals and immortals. And then there's kind of an include the difference between them, the ones that aren't fallen. To the apparitions and phenomenons that are not of the Most High God, that aren't with the Most High God, and a reflection of Source anymore, due to their allegiance, or like basically, well, due to their lack of alliance, you know, with the Almighty God, because they're fallen now. So, anyways, the difference between them and the demons and operations, archons, principalities, entities, and those who are fallen. So the ones that are fallen, that are incarnated, still gods, but different form of gods. They're fallen. Once again, as well as the angels that are fallen, and the entities that are fallen. Deities that are fallen, which are entities, and then the demons, which are the fallen spirits, fallen spirit guides, spirit animals. Those are referred to as demons now. So, and then and you may be wondering, okay, so one is the fallen god, one is the fallen goddesses, one is the fallen demigod, one is the fallen demigoddesses. Okay, one is the fallen angels, one is the fallen deities, one is the fallen spirits. What about the titans and the primordials? Okay, so the fallen titans and primordials, the titans are still referred to as titans because they're the original, what mortals call a physical form, but it's still in the higher dimension, so they don't really perceive it unless they have that a soul and a mind that is organic and source incarnated. So what happens is that they're used to basically, I guess you could say, as a pillar for for what you refer to as the Matrix, MK Ultra, which is basically the manipulation of the mind to trick it, for the soul to trick itself into believing that the false distortions, manipulations, and the abuse is a reflection of reality, the truth, what exists. Their entire incarnation, basically, to believe that whatever tricks that are being played within their mind is just karma, when it's not. False karma is trauma. It's referred to as trauma, and that's what that is. Tricks within the mind of the soul. So that's why it's called Rama. Okay, Rama. The T is referring to the trick. The Ra is referring to the spirits, the core of the soul. Okay, which is the shining light, the true shining light, and then the Ma is referring to the mind. MK Ultra is referring to basically tricks that are played within the mind, by that which is within the mind. And then the Matrix is referring to Ma, which is mind, and then the tricks, which is another variation of, or just a misspelling of tricks. Okay, and what is a trick? Manipulation, distortion, delusion, what mortals refer to as lies, just tricks. And albeit just tricknology, it's an actual real thing, it's a study. It's an actual form of science that's used to corrupt that which is pure and sanctified, not holy. Okay, so yeah, so the opposite of a primordial, or the fallen primordial, would be referred to as a jinn. Okay, No, not all jinns are not benevolent or malevolent. Yeah, but jinns are elemental beings, just as the primordials are elemental gods. Okay, so primordials are the original gods that are incarnated within an elemental form. Yeah, but a jinn, the difference between a jinn and a primordial is that a jinn is the spirits and a primordial is a soul. So jinns do not have souls, because they don't have the kind of they don't incarnate in such a form that's able to contain one. So they're not unlike mortals in that sense. They're like the mortals that that exist within the spiritual realm, but they don't necessarily die, even though they can be eviscerated, perished. Such as anything that is impure within the kingdoms, which is the dimensions of the mind, within the dimensions within the mind, and dimensions and realms within the mind, that which is the creation of the Almighty God, the spirits within the incarnated source souls, and also known as your ancestors, if you are, a reflection of the Almighty God, and you are of the Almighty God, and they are as well. Okay, and they are not fallen. Okay, so so basically, a fallen God, a fallen primordial would be referred to more so as a jinn, because if let's say if you're an elemental being and you potentially lose your soul, hypothetically, for whatever reason, and you sacrifice your soul, what you have left is your spirits, or a spirits, okay, which is you're the core, and you don't have an aura anymore. You kind of just have a field, okay. So you have an essence, but you don't have a presence. Does it make sense? Yeah, because your presence is your soul, your essence is your spirits, okay? You're the Almighty God, the thing that the core, okay? Whereas the presence is the source. So what they would do is that they would move around within the fourth dimension along with all the other entities and demons and whatnot, and other apparitions, and they're used and referred to as trickster spirits sometimes. A lot of the uses can be trickster spirits. There are different kinds. They're like blue, red, orange, and green jinns, and they all have an affinity to different elements, and those different elements exist within different environments. So that's how you know kind of where they would most likely be. I'm not gonna go into which ones like exist within which kind of realms and dimensions exactly, but the point is that if you're questioning what a primordial god would be like in an incarnated vessel, if it was fallen, then it would be referred to as a jinn. Jinns were not originally gods, but they were basically like, oh no, they were not originally primordial gods, but the point is that they kind of existed and were created as the first form of like an experiment. So think about it like they're the artificial concept of what a primordial god would be like if it was in an elemental form, and it didn't have a soul to kind of guide it. It just existed. But they were never used. They were never created to be used for a malicious intention originally. They kind of became that way because whenever they just disconnected from source, and that's when you have the fallen jinns, which are the red, the green, and the orange ones, which are you can put them in the same kind of hell as the apparitions and phenomenons.